Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Friday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill. Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Mr. Hill, it's a Friday. How we doing?
Doing good, man. I missed the last Tigers basketball game for a little COVID here, but hey, I'll be back in business tomorrow. Check out my Tigers.
We'll be talking about that one plenty over the next 2 hours. LSU and Tennessee, 5 o'clock tip time, which I really like. I think a lot of people have activities in the morning. You got kids' sports or whatever you may have going on. Get that knocked out of the way. Doesn't interfere with your evening plans if that's got something going on. Tip time's good at 5 o'clock, and it ought to be a really good environment there for LSU and Tennessee in the PMAC. Tomorrow we will certainly be chatting about it. We'll do that with Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel in 30 minutes. He covers Tennessee. We'll talk about Rick Barnes' Vols squad. Huge week 18 in the NFL coming up. Of course, we'll do our NFL tiers at the end of this hour, and Luke Johnson will kick off hour number 2, talking about the Saints. Is anybody coming back to play in this game, and what's the status of the Hoodats as they head to Atlanta? We'll break that game down as well, as the Saints and Falcons will play at 3:25 Central Time from over there in the ATL. Also want to look at the SEC's basketball schedules. We'll start to do a little bit more of that now as things are into conference play, and we're going to see if LSU can make a push, try to win this league, and we'll certainly try to take a step towards that tomorrow with the Vols coming to town. So glad you're hanging out with us here, hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat over on YouTube or just terrestrially. Making us part of your Friday. We certainly appreciate it. And we want to start with football. Departures, non-departures, all this kind of news that is swirling as LSU's season was completed on Tuesday night. And I think it's been interesting. There's been some fake Instagram posts, some fake stuff that's come out. Then players have had to come back and say that's not exactly true, and you're just kind of waiting for some information. But we do know that Avery Atkins has decided that he's going to move on and try to test the professional waters. Did have another year that he could come back to LSU, but is gonna move on. Atkins obviously wore number 18 this year, and he was such a breath of fresh air back in 2018. LSU had struggled for some time with kickoffs, whether it was Les Miles' philosophy of trying to kick it high and shorter and pin teams in there, kicking the ball out of bounds at times, and Atkins came in and absolutely stabilized it. 71 out of 79 of his kicks as a freshman went for touchbacks over a 4-year run. 84% was his touchback percentage, which is excellent, especially when you consider that sometimes he was asked to hit squibs or something that would take that off the table. But more often than not, he was banging it through the end zone, and LSU's defense was being set up for a pretty good spot. And this year, obviously took over the punting duties, averaged 43 yards per punt this year, had 19 punts down inside the 20-yard line and just 3 touchbacks. A great leader. A great member of this football program for 4 years, a guy who they pulled from Auburn, Alabama, to come in and handle the kickoff duties and now the punting duties. He was a great Tiger, and we'll see what his future holds as far as professional football goes, but he certainly left his mark and was the first kicker ever to wear number 18.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing if you're an LSU football fighting Tiger, to be awarded that number, especially at that position and being in that position group. It shows the leadership you have to bring to a football team, and just your character every day, day in and out, coming in and out of that building. And then I think his on-field play, it definitely matched because he could boom it. And I think for me, I'm definitely got to remember that jump pass at Alabama. that was a beautiful play from my boy Avery, being able to make that athletic play and hit my boy Mashburn. But just a phenomenal Tiger career, and it was a beauty to watch him blast those kickoffs and those punts.
So Avery Atkins will be moving on. 2 guys that were reported to be moving on but have come out and said, hold your horses, we're making decisions over here, are Micah Baskerville and Chasen Hines. In the case of Chasen Hines, he accepted an invite to play in one of these Senior Bowl games, which he did. And then everyone reported that and said he'll be moving on. He said, wait a second, I've accepted that invitation, and if I decide I'm leaving, I'll play in it. If I decide I'm not, obviously I won't. His eligibility would be compromised if he did that. So Chasen Hines has a decision to make. You look back at Hines' career as a freshman. He started a game, played in 8 more in 18. In 19, he played in 10 games. 2020, took over as a starting right guard for LSU and started 9 games in that season, and obviously played a good bit for LSU this year. He was brought in as a defensive lineman. They switched sides of the ball to him, and he's been a nice piece to LSU's offensive line the last couple of years.
Yeah, he definitely has. And I think for him, just battling with the injuries and being in and out of the lineup, but just a guy that can really make hay in the run game. I really watched him do that at a great level, especially this season. You saw TDP have some of those bigger games, and that's what Chasen Hines right there in the middle of the offensive line, pushing people around, getting to the second level, and watching him pull and do some of the things that he can do. I would definitely be excited if he came back and be a Tiger for next season, especially with you got the freshman talent coming in and my boy Miles Frazier coming in. I think getting Chasen back would be very, very ideal for this football program.
Look, they need help on the offensive line. There's no two ways about that. They've got to go to the transfer portal and bring in probably one or two more. If you can re-recruit Chasen Hines and have him come back, that would be a nice depth piece to add. And then you got to develop some of these younger guys, your Charles Turners, your Garrett Dellingers, Marcus Dumervilles, those type of guys. They weren't available for the bowl game for whatever reason. Hopefully they're sticking around, but you got to add some pieces there. And your thoughts on what Chasen Hines' future would be if he decided to go, and what decision you think is probably best for him?
I would definitely think he should come back for another year. It's really just, especially watching the offensive line this season, I don't think the NFL scouts are really, drooling at the mouth, watching them thinking, that any of these guys are going to be a high draft pick. I think there's some developing that needs to be done there. I know a lot of guys, they get tired of the college scene, going to the classes, doing the papers, waking up early, doing all those things. But for some people, it just works dividends if you come back and develop for another year and get an opportunity to get your degree and do some of these things. So I think for Chasen, I would love to see him come back. I think there's some developing he can do. Show he can be healthy throughout a season and really try to be a better Tiger.
And the last one, Micah Baskerville. Somebody created a fake Instagram account and said he was Micah Baskerville and I'm leaving, and a bunch of people bought that. And then Micah Baskerville came out and said, "Hey, that's not me. So I'm not. That's not right." So he's still making some decisions. Baskerville was a 4-star recruit out of Evangel, one of the better players in the state of Louisiana. Sat and waited his turn. But really in 2020 was when he came on. That defense was atrocious. They were getting gashed left and right everywhere. And he provided a little bit of stability in the middle in 2020. 3 of the last 4 games, he had double-digit tackles, including the Ole Miss game. And he was second on the team in tackles this past year with 83. I think that's a guy who's certainly taken a path that a lot of people aren't taking nowadays, which is wait a little bit behind some really good players. I mean, you're talking about sitting behind Jacob Phillips and Patrick Queen, and then you see Damone Clark, who was a big piece to the 2019 team and was a starter last year. And they bring in Bug Strong, and he worked his way up the depth chart and became kind of a real impact player on the defense. So, again, 83 tackles this year, second on the team. That's a nice senior season. Certainly, LSU would love to have him back because the linebacker room looks real bleak at this point, but it's just a decision that's going to have to be made.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough decision. But I think for Baskerville, obviously my LSU bifocals are always going to be on. I would love for him to come back to that linebacker room. I think he saw just how much Damone helped his stock and coming back for an extra year and playing and doing all the things he did this season. It's definitely in the realm of possibility, especially when you look in that linebacker room and don't see much depth there, don't see much stuff around. You're going to be the lead dog. You're going to be the leader. You're going to be the guy that everyone depends on and counts on. I'm not sure how high Baskerville's grade is. I'm looking at him. I'm not sure how high he would exactly go. To me, if you're not going to be, first to third round pick, it's probably ideal that you come back and try to improve your draft status. So for me, I think he's somewhere after that range. So for me, come back, be a Tiger. Have one of those amazing, Buckets Award seasons. It's very, very in the realm of possibilities. I think for him, especially watching early on in that season, just watching some of the coverage woes he's had that he improved later on in the season. You show you can cover as a linebacker for a whole season, and you rack those tackles up. That'll definitely help your draft status going into the next season.
So those two guys are a little bit different in terms of what is happening in their position group room, for lack of a better term. You look at Chasen Hines, you would get a second year with Brad Davis, who I think we all think is an excellent developer of talent, great communicator, a very, very good coach. And so you have stability there where your position coach is concerned. Obviously not the case with Baskerville, because you're having a new linebackers coach come in, Blake Baker, who they all loved, moving out. But Matt House is coming in. He's been the linebacker coach for the Chiefs for the last couple of years. So that's a pretty good group and a pretty good franchise to come from. Obviously, he understands the NFL game, what NFL coaches are looking for, and maybe a different sounding voice. Now, that's spinning it positively in both directions, spinning it positive. Oh, you got your offensive line coach back. You should stay. Oh, you got a really good new one coming in. You should stay. I get it, but it's possible to look at both of those things as a positive. If you were looking at that, would an NFL coach coming to direct your room be something that you would look at in terms of weighing that decision?
Yeah, I think obviously that's definitely something that you should look at. A guy who coached at that level, I think for me, I had the same experience when Cam Cameron came to the college level, being an offensive coordinator in the year, coaching some of the backs he's coached in the NFL, from LaDainian Tomlinson and Ray Rice, who had some great years. I was trying to soak in all that knowledge that I could from those guys who did it at the highest level. So if you're a college kid and you have a coach who's been around, some of these NFL linebackers and going against one of the, most prolific offenses we've seen in NFL history on a day-to-day basis, that's a guy I'm going to get very close to and try to learn as much as I humanly can from him and really try to be a sponge and learn all those things. So I think that's definitely a positive that you can definitely spin.
Anyway, this shakes out. Look, I would love to have both those guys back. You just mentioned it. Like, I'm an LSU guy, and those guys certainly would help. They had depth, they had experience, they had stability. There's a lot of things that they do. Is either one of those guys a first-team All-American right now? No, they're not. But I think that you certainly, at this point where LSU's program is, would like to have those two guys back. What I do like, anyway this goes, is that they didn't make their mind up 2 months ago. They didn't snap to things and immediately bail. They are taking time to evaluate things. They wanted to see how the staff is filled out, kind of want to look at what information they can glean from NFL teams. Like, it's not, I stepped off the field, took my pads off in Houston and tweeted out, see you later. Like, that's not where they are. They are, and when things are being reported, they actively jumped out and said, hey, not true. Like, I'm still looking at this. So you feel like both guys, as you would expect with older players, have a reasonable head on their shoulders and know that they have a decision to make and they're not rushing to it.
Yeah, I think that's something that I definitely went through myself. I think I was probably the last guy to declare for the draft because I really, I was really thinking about coming back. So I think for some of these kids, you love LSU, you love the, relationships you build. Obviously, a lot of the coaching, a lot of people in that building. It's going to be a lot of new faces, but the kids on campus, your friends, just your teammates, all that stuff. A lot of these kids are definitely going to miss. So for some of them, I know they can improve their draft status, and for some, they feel like, it's probably not worth the injury of me, lowering my draft status for the next season. So that's a decision they all are going to have to make. It's a tough decision. You don't have much time to make it, but, that's why you talk to your family. You possibly, if you want to have an agent involved, you do those things. But you got to give them time. And for me, for my LSU bifocals, I hope they all come back.
Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel will be talking Tennessee Vols basketball at 12:30. Luke Johnson on the New Orleans Saints coming up at 1 o'clock as the Saints try to punch their ticket to the playoffs. We'll talk with Luke at 1 o'clock at just what's going on down there before they head to the ATL. Let's take a timeout, come back. We'll start to take a look individually here, the two of us, at this LSU and Tennessee matchup in the hardwood. Tomorrow, it's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Brake Medics, brakemedics.com. Just visit the website. It's so easy to use. There's a big red button, look at you, that says request a free quote. You can't miss it. And Jeremy will tell you how to do that.
Yeah, all you got to do is log in to brakemedics.com for your free quote today. You put the make, year, model of your vehicle, and whatever brake symptoms your vehicle may be dealing with at the time, they'll have all those options right there on the website for you. You punch that in, put your name, email, and phone number, and brakemedics.com will get back to you with a free quote today.
Car maintenance is not the most fun thing in the world, but it's something we've got to do if you're trying to get around. And in this town, you got to use those brakes in traffic quite a bit. They get a workout. Brake Medics will come to you to change your brakes. They've got that great grand opening holiday price. They'll do a single axle for $199, the whole lot for $379, and it's not just pads. You get pads, rotors, all the way around. 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty. Set a time. Never even have to leave the couch or your office. Brake Medics will drive to you and service those brakes on the spot. They are insured, certified, and they can make it happen for you. The prices, the convenience, it just can't be beat. So give Brake Medics a try. BrakeMedics.com. We make house calls.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Majestic Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bar. The band's back together. The Right Radio Hours return. We'll preview Saints Falcons. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll get a deeper dive on the Tennessee Vols from Mike Wilson in about 12 minutes. But wanted to kind of give a brief overview of Tennessee before we chat with him and see kind of what Jeremy's thoughts are on this game. Tennessee's 10-3 on the season, 1-1 in conference play. Villanova crushed them early in the season. They really struggled on offense in that game. 71-53 was the final. They did wallop North Carolina. They got a huge win against Arizona, who was undefeated at the time. They got out 16-2 in that game against Arizona. Really punched the Wildcats in the mat up there at the Tommy Bowl and won that game by 4 points. They opened conference play with a loss to Alabama. They did not have two of their most important players in that game. Their point guard, Kennedy Chandler, who was a 5-star, did not play in that game. And then, obviously, you're all well aware of John Fulkerson, who's been in Knoxville for approximately 1,300 years. He is their 5-man. He did not play in that game either. They had some COVID issues. But the Vols, I think, Jeremy, are very similar to LSU in terms of where their program is, because they're generally really good. They've got their coach that's got their footing on the ground. Rick Barnes has been there for a long time now. And they recruit well. They play well. They win a lot of games in the regular season. And in the tournament, they haven't been great. And that's kind of where LSU is right now. We've always got a lot of good players, win a lot of games, get into the tournament. And we won a couple games 2 years ago, lost a game after a win last year. That's kind of where Tennessee is. And both programs are trying to climb that hump, try to get to the Sweet 16 more easily, try to get to the Final Four. They haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. I think that's exactly where this Tennessee Vols program is. I think for LSU, it's going to be a great test to really use this as an opportunity to kind of, Nick, we're better than Tennessee. Our program is definitely a lot farther along than you are, and you can probably give them 2 SEC losses early on here in the season. So for Tennessee, I know they're going to be trying to come into Baton Rouge and get back going in the right direction, especially in the East, where I feel like they can have an opportunity to definitely win the East if they win this game. So coming into Baton Rouge, I think for them, getting some of their guys going, getting Fulkerson going, getting some of these guys going, that's going to be heavy on their game plan.
It's going to be a meat grinder tomorrow. I'll give you some stats here, how LSU and Tennessee stack up. In defensive efficiency, LSU is number 1 in the country. Tennessee is number 7 in the country. They are excellent on defense. Steals per possession, LSU is number 1 in the country. Tennessee is number 3 in the country. Their 2 guards absolutely pressure the ball and have great instincts and savvy. That's Vescovy and Chandler, like I just mentioned. In scoring defense in the country, LSU is 2nd in the country. Tennessee is number 19 in the country, so a top 20 team. It's going to be a grind out there tomorrow. I mean, you're looking at a Tennessee team that played Ole Miss early this week. It went into overtime. The final score was 66-60.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee forced 27 Ole Miss turnovers. They turned it over 19 times themselves. You're also looking at a Tennessee team early this season, went to Madison Square Garden, played Texas Tech. This game went into overtime. The final was 57-52. Tennessee shot 27% from the floor in that game. It went into overtime in the 40s. So it's 2 teams that are great on defense and have their troubles on offense. How do you think that what that lends in terms of what LSU can do?
Yeah, I think for me, this Tennessee, they have some similarities because they do not shoot the 3-point ball well. It's just like they don't shoot a high percentage. There's not really too many guys on that team where you can point to that shoot the lights out of the gym. I think they got one guy that's shooting over 35%. So for LSU, I think you're going to have to continue that ball pressure. You're going to have to continue to do all the things that you've done all season. And I think for me, I'm going to look to Efton Reed to make it a little more post-present. You're not going to have to deal with any 7-footers in this game. Probably going to be the tallest guy on the court. Try to get some easy baskets around the goal. Try to get some easy looks and continue to let the guards get to the basket and drive and try to open up some 3-point looks.
Total dichotomy in the matchup on the block when it is that those 2 guys based on LSU switches. But Fulkerson, a 6'9", fifth-year senior who plays below the rim, is left-handed, just a gritty, tough guy who just loves Tennessee, wanted to come back for one more go. And then you've got, on LSU side, Efton Reed, who's long and wiry and athletic and young and raw. It's 2 totally different guys. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be interesting to see how Efton Reed handles that. You mentioned only having one guy shooting over 35% from 3. That's Santiago Vescovy, who was Vescovy for 2 years. So everybody called him that. And then he came out earlier this year and goes, by the way, it's Vescovy. It's not Vescovy. Okay, well, we've been doing this for 2 years. So he's a 6'3" guard. And it seems lazy because he's from overseas and he's left-handed. He's got so much Manu Ginobili in his game. It's unbelievable. He's not super quick. He doesn't have great athleticism. He shoots a set shot from left-handed, but he's deliberate. He knows what he's trying to do. He'll get to the rim. He'll pump fake. And he's just really, really tough to frazzle. He shoots 8 threes a game, shoots them at 36%. Here's a great stat for him on this. He handles the ball a ton. This season, he has 17 turnovers. Pinson has 41. Gaines has 43. He's just not going to get sped up against these pressured defenders that LSU throws at him. Now, Kennedy Chandler's a freshman. He's a 5-star, and he's really good, and he's their point guard, but he will get sped up a little bit, and he does turn it over some. But Vescovy does not. So the question is, can LSU's ball pressure disrupt Tennessee's leading scorer? Generally speaking, the answer is no. This will be a road game for them, and it'll be the best defense that he's seen. Your thoughts on LSU trying to deal with a savvy veteran?
Yeah, I think for him, that's why he does play that way, especially when you got guys who are going to be more athletic, more quicker, more lateral quickness like Gaines and Pinson is going to bring with their ball pressure that they bring. So he's going to try to, slow things down, not turn the ball over. But I think for LSU, you're going to be playing right into their hands. You're going to find yourself in a lot of situations where you're not getting good looks at the basket because it's taking you too long to get in and out of your sets, especially when they're switching everything. So LSU is probably the worst team to try to, take your time, dribbling it up slow, really trying to take care of the ball. But that's kind of you're playing into their hands too. Once you start speeding it up, that's when you see the guys playing the passing lanes and getting those steals. So I think for LSU, I like the matchup with Gaines and Pinson on him. He doesn't have the athletic matchup. I don't think he can, really break them down off the dribble on time and time again. So I look for those guys to win that matchup. I think they will keep him under his average in this game.
That would be good. I'm thinking this game is in the 60s, very likely. LSU's pretty comfortable with that these days, and Tennessee certainly is. When you look at some of the scores that they've played, it's just going to be tough. You would imagine that both teams are going to go through some 5-7 minute slogs where they really struggle to get good looks at the basket. The question is, can LSU create some easy offense by forcing turnovers? And Tennessee has been really good at not turning it over until Ole Miss really turned them over. And this is not even the full Ole Miss complement of players. Ole Miss was playing that game without Jarkel Joyner, who's their best player, who's hurt, and then they had a bunch of guys out with COVID. They had like 9 scholarship guys and still went up to Knoxville and should have won that game. Tennessee just did enough late because they were at home and they're a better team. But it's going to be interesting, and I think the environment's going to be really, really good. I think that people in this town are excited about basketball. I think that everyone's aware of just how difficult this opening stretch is for LSU and how important it is to get through it until you can take a deep breath and get into some of the lesser teams in the conference. And it's a great measuring stick. I mean, right now you saw LSU go to Auburn and it looked to be a little out of their weight class. Then you come back home and you hold serve against Kentucky. Now, again, we talked about this on Wednesday, sorry. It's important when you're evaluating this LSU team to understand that Kentucky played that game without Xavier Wheeler for all but 4 minutes, had Ty Washington really ineffective in the second half because of cramps, and Oscar Tshiebwe got into foul trouble. Okay, you can put a guy in foul trouble, so that's a plus, but it wasn't like you took Kentucky's best shot. You didn't. You beat them, and it counts. And on Selection Sunday, it'll say, beat Kentucky, and that's great. But in evaluating how they're playing, where they measure up, you do need to weigh those things. This is a full-strength Tennessee team that's coming in. LSU should win this game, but it's going to be difficult to win the game.
Yeah, they bring a lot of defense. They play well. It's a veteran team with a lot of veteran guys out there who played a lot of college basketball. So only way LSU maybe can get a double-digit lead, I think in this scenario, which I think is going to be both teams under 70 points. They got to knock down the 3, which is not something that we do at a high level. So I see this being a close game down the stretch, and hopefully this LSU defense can give them a run where they can get a comfortable lead and finish this thing out.
Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel covers the Vols. We'll talk with him next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they are the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tigers and the Tennessee Vols, 5 o'clock tip-off in the Maravich Center. Mike Wilson covers those Vols for the Knoxville News Sentinel. He joins us now on the phone line. Mike, Happy New Year. How are you?
Doing well. Happy New Year to you guys, too.
So I drew a parallel in the last segment, and tell me if I'm on the right track here. Here in Baton Rouge, everyone is happy with the state of the basketball program. They have a lot of good players. They win a lot of games, and everyone's kind of waiting for that run in March where they put it together and make a deep run. That hasn't happened yet. Similar feeling in Knoxville right now with Rick Barnes?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you certainly look at the regular season successes that Rick Barnes has had. I mean, you look back a few years ago, winning a share of the SEC title, losing the second round to Loyola that year, then the following year being number one in the country for a stretch, I think finishing second behind LSU actually for the conference, and then being bounced in the Sweet 16 by Purdue. Last year was a first-round exit. So, yeah, I mean, you haven't seen the March success match what you've seen through the 5 months of the regular season for sure.
What have you seen from this team through a couple of months? 10-3, 1-1 in the league, coming into Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I think they're about where you'd expect them to have been record-wise. I mean, pretty challenging non-conference schedule, but defense definitely the identity, which it was last year and has been in the past. The shooting has been in and out. It's definitely a team that relies on the three-pointer more so than any Tennessee team that Rick Barnes has had. I think they're averaging more this year attempts-wise per game than they had as a high for a single game last year. So that's where it's at. And when those shots aren't falling, they do struggle offensively, and that was the case the other night against Ole Miss.
What do you think is going to be Tennessee's best chance on the offensive side with this stingent LSU defense? What player do you think has to really take over in this game?
Man, Kennedy Chandler needs to play better than he did the other night. I mean, he's Tennessee's best shot creator, take over a game kind of guy. Really struggled against Ole Miss. He missed the Alabama game because of COVID. And he just hasn't really had that dominant game in a little while. But he's undoubtedly the most talented player on the roster and a guy that can really change the game at all three levels. And if he can create some stuff and get some stuff done, Tennessee's got a better shot than it would if he has kind of another clunker like he did the other night.
So obviously Chandler running the point for this team as a 5-star recruit, a freshman who's been pretty good this year. That moves Vescovy kind of to the, and I can't believe that everyone's been pronouncing his name wrong for 2 years. I've really enjoyed that little nugget. But he's really been the primary ball handler the last couple of years. Is he now more off the ball, and is that why the shot attempts are up?
It's a combo of that. Tennessee's really liked running a 3-point guard lineup, essentially, with Kennedy Chandler, Zakai Ziegler, who's another freshman, and then Santiago Vescovy. You got it right. I didn't. Brilliant. I've been saying it longer, to be fair. That's probably why I made the mistake. They really rolled with that lineup for probably the final 10 minutes against Ole Miss the other night. They've used it before. But it does allow Santiago to get off the ball, get some more shots without having to necessarily create them himself. But I also think he's just such a reliable shooter for them that they're perfectly fine with the volume that they've seen.
What makes the Tennessee defense as good as it is? There's been some really, really impressive goes, even in some losses where the offense didn't show up like Texas Tech. The defense has been there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was skeptical of this team's defensive abilities going into the year. In other words, just don't trust anything I say. But on paper, they don't have more than maybe one above-average defender from last season. But Vescovy is one of the biggest reasons. He really overhauled his body. He's playing a lot better defense and really changing that. I think the way that Tennessee's post guys play ball screen defense has been key, but it's a team effort. I mean, other than Josiah Jordan-James, who I think is their best overall defender, they don't really have a one-on-one lockdown guy, but they've really got a scheme down where they play so well together and cohesively, and that's what's getting it done for them.
A matchup I'm intrigued to see, especially tomorrow, is Fulkerson versus Efton Reed. Who do you think gets the better of that matchup tomorrow?
Man, Reed is certainly a bigger body, more physical guy. Fulkerson is a wiry and wily veteran at this point, just crafty player. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tennessee throw Olivier Kamwa at Reed some as well, just because he's a more physical, bigger body kind of guy. Fulkerson's interesting, man. I mean, he had a great game against Arizona, was out with COVID against Alabama, and then didn't really have a great game the other night against Ole Miss. He know what he can give you, but he doesn't always give it to you, which is kind of a tough part. But yeah, the post matchups in this game are going to be interesting to watch, I think.
And then I think one question we always have to ask when someone comes on from the opposing beat is, LSU's going to pick you up pretty much full court the entire game. They're going to switch everything. They're aggressive. They go after steals. How do you think? I don't really worry about Vescovy dealing with all that. He never turns the ball over, and he's been around a lot. Chandler being a freshman, how do you anticipate he handles the LSU defense that's going to be there for 40 minutes?
It's a great question because I think that's really something that Tennessee struggled with against Villanova back in November. They're a team that switches 1 through 5 as well. And that's something they struggled with against Texas Tech as a team I think mostly switches 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5 some of the time. But those are two heavy switch teams with lengthy guys on the perimeter as well. I do think that's an area where Tennessee struggles a bit. And that's why I think I wouldn't be surprised to see that lineup with Chandler, Ziegler, and Vescovy out there as 3 guys who can kind of handle that pressure and try to move the ball up the court.
Mike Wilson, Knoxville News Sentinel, covers the Vols. Mike, we'll get you out of here as we change gears a little bit. I know that things were a little controversial at the end, but what's the feeling on the Josh Heupel era up there in Knoxville?
Yeah, I think the overall mood is pretty good. Obviously the situation that Heupel inherited and the way that things ended for Jeremy Pruitt wasn't exactly a pretty situation. And taking over a roster that basically lost 25, 30 scholarship guys to the portal, Heupel made it a better team than it was a year before. And, that offensive scheme got a lot of that done. The defense overachieved a lot of the season. So I think the mood is pretty good in terms of what the future looks like. Now it's all about recruiting and how they rebuild a roster because there's a lot of depth issues there.
Hey, look, if they want to beat Alabama here or there, that'd be just fine with everybody down here in Baton Rouge. It doesn't happen very much here either, but we'll take any help we can get.
I think it's been a 2005, 2006 range in
Yep.
Tennessee last did that. So I don't know, might have to ask Santa for that next year if you're a Vols fan.
We're all Vols fans down here in that game too. So, Mike, we appreciate some time. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
He's Mike Wilson, Knoxville News. You can follow him on Twitter at by Mike Wilson. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one tomorrow, and that's interesting that he talks about Chandler maybe struggling a little bit with that full court pressure. It's just he's a 6-foot freshman guard. Now he's uber talented and quick, But it's just Gaines and Pinson are a lot to deal with. And if you break that, you can break LSU. But we haven't really seen anybody able to do that outside of Auburn for stretches. They did it early. LSU held them for about 8 minutes and clawed back into it, but they were able to do enough at the end.
Yeah, I think for LSU, you got to make the freshman play like a freshman. You got to force Chandler to turn that ball over, put that ball pressure on him, have guys lurking in the shadows and waiting for those lazy passes across court, and continue to do what you've been doing all season. Switch like everything you have, and I think for Coach Wade, he's going to want them just to be a little more locked in once you do get that big man switch, because I think teams are going to try to start implementing that, getting the guards switched on their bigs and forcing those double teams in rotation. So you can lock that down a little bit. I think the defense will be as formidable as it's always been.
Huge weekend in the NFL. We'll go through it all next. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they are the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
To the Chargers. Only this show cares. Plus, we'll preview Alabama, Georgia, Part 2. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's knock out Week 18 in the NFL. Our tier list starts in Tier 4 with the games that are not that important. Bengals are at the Browns. No Baker, no Burrow. Question is, do you play Jamar to get him 13 yards and break the Bengals' single-season record?
Yeah, you do. You gotta break the record, man. Yeah, get him out there for a couple series. Get him over to the sideline. He's still a rookie, so it's not too crazy to throw him out there. But, yeah, you got to break that record, baby.
Packers are at the Lions. We'll see Jordan Love at some point, but the Packers have locked up that 1 seed. Not much to see.
Yeah, you got to see Mr. Jeopardy, Mr. Bears owner, Mr. calling people bums. You're going to see him definitely chilling on the sideline, not the week to put him in harm's way. So, yeah, that's going to be a sleeper right there. Not much going on in that one.
Bears at Vikings, terrible. Both teams are eliminated from playoff contention. The Bears don't have a first-round pick. They got Justin Fields, but they're not really playing for anything at this point.
Man, look, I guess your boy still has his job, man. I wonder how long they're going to keep that.
Nagy's still there. They're talking about extending Ryan Pace. It's unbelievable what's going on in Chicago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Terrible. How about this? This is some wild stuff. The Giants are at the Washington football team. You know how many yards the Giants threw for on Sunday?
50?
-10.
Oh, shit.
-10 yards passing. They have not thrown for 200 passing yards in 8 games.
Shoot.
How is that possible in 2021 NFL, now 2022?
I guess.
Can't throw for 200 yards?
You take the quarterback from Duke. You set your franchise back a couple of years. Danny Dimes, baby.
Not good. All right, Tier 3. That was Tier 4, which was trash. The Chiefs are at the Broncos. The Chiefs have won 12 straight games against Denver. They need Tennessee to lose as well as beating the Broncos to get the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, they're going to be ready for business in that one. That was a tough loss for them against Joey B and the crew last week. They were buzzing and winning at an all-time pace before that. So I look for the Chiefs to handle business and give themselves a prime opportunity to have that 1 seed.
The Cowboys are at the Eagles. Basically nothing to play for on either side there. Both teams are in the playoffs and cannot really improve their seeding without a ton of help. So at that point, do you just take it easy on Dak and Hurts?
I think for the Eagles, they're going to push it. They're going to push it to the limit and try to get the highest seed they possibly can, being a team that probably no one really thought would have a chance to be in the playoffs. But for the Cowboys, on the hand, you seal the division. You already have a home playoff game. If I do play my starters, it's probably a couple series, and I'm getting them out of there.
Now, you said you would play Jamar Chase to break a record. Carolina is at the Buccaneers. Brady needs 246 yards to make a career high. Now, it's an extra game in the season. Do you think that that's something to play for? I would say no. He's 100 years old.
I think the way Bruce Arians coaches and the way he does things, he's got to, push it to the limit, all about, firing on all cylinders, going to the playoffs. There's different philosophies that different coaches have. I think for BA, he's going to have them out there playing a lot of that game. Maybe if they start blowing him out, he'll pull it. But I think Tommy Boy is going to be full throttle ahead here.
All right, now let's get to the good stuff. Tier 2, getting better. Steelers are at the Ravens. You got a few things to look at here. Could be Big Ben's last game. Both teams need the Colts to lose, and then they've obviously got to win this game. TJ Watt also can set the sat record with 1.5. Again, asterisk extra game. But who you liking Steelers at Ravens?
Ooh, if Action Jackson's out there, I'm going to have to go with the Ravens. I know they had an opportunity to beat them earlier, went for the 2-point conversion, couldn't get it. But if Action Jackson's playing, I'm going Baltimore in that one.
Colts are at the Jaguars. The Colts are in a win-and-you're-in situation for them. Jags, if they lose, they get the first pick. So I think that we can all be on the same page here. Colts need a win. Jags need a loss. Let's go out there and get it done over a 3-hour period.
Yeah, I know we have our hunt locks. This is probably my only hunt lock for the weekend here. I think the Jags are going to be laying down, packing up those bags, trying to get out of Jacksonville, and Indy's going to be full throttle trying to get into the playoffs. So, yeah, that'd probably be my lock of the week. Hey, lock of the week right there, baby.
Kayvon Thibodeau still your pick for number 1 pick there?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think you pair him with my boy Allen on the other side. You may have a little something there.
Titans are at the Texans. Number 1 seed is on the line for the Titans. They got to go down to Houston. Still waiting on Derrick Henry. Not ready to go. They can get a bye week with that 1 seed. Really lines up nicely for them. I think they probably take care of business in Houston.
Yeah, I definitely think they do. They definitely handle business in Houston, and Henry back practicing this week, so they're trying to gear him up. And that'd be beautiful if they can get him another rest week, get him a bye week, and then now he's really cooking in a home game in the second week of the playoffs. So, yeah, I think Tennessee huge in that one. I think Houston, they're packing up those bags, ready to hit the road here.
Seattle's at Arizona. The Cardinals can still win the West if the Rams lose, and Seattle, is this Russell Wilson's last game as a Seahawk?
It's looking like it, man. Normally, it's like normally when you're hearing it and it's buzzing like that, it normally never happens. Like we said, Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to be a Packer, then he's a Packer. So normally when that happens, it normally goes the other way. But I think there's something brewing in Seattle right now. I think Russell and CC, they're trying to get out of town, man. They're trying to get in the big show, man. Nothing going on in Seattle. They're trying to get in the big city, big spotlight. So I think that's probably going to be his last game as a Seahawk.
Bama Bowl down in South Beach. Patriots are at Miami. It is Mac versus Tua. Patriots need the Bills to lose so they can try to win the East. They also have to take care of their business down there in Miami, who was eliminated last week. You like Bill to go down there and get it done?
Yeah, I do. I like Bill to go down there to get it done. I know it's the Jags last week, but you put up a 50 ball. You start feeling good about yourself. And Miami, that was a heart-wrencher last week, and they get themselves out of contention. It's really hard to get up and play a meaningless game after that. So I think Bill and the crew handles business down there in South Beach.
Don't think it's going to be enough, though, because the Jets are at Buffalo. The Bills on the season have 19 interceptions and allowed 11 passing touchdowns. And now Zach Wilson's coming to town, and that does not spell a lot of success, in my opinion. I think the Bills will put the AFC East on ice tomorrow.
Yeah, I think
Sunday.
so. Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to be their claim to get to winning that division, getting a terrible Jets team coming into town and that weather and that acclimate. It's going to be tough for the Jets to have a pulse in that one. I think they're going to be gearing up to be firing on all cylinders heading to the playoffs. So I got the Bills in that one for sure.
There's your Tier 2. Tier 1, cannot miss these big games on Sunday. 49ers at the Rams. Okay, here's a scenario. 49ers win, and they're in. The Rams are playing for the 2 seed. Jimmy Garoppolo, interestingly enough, if he plays, it's not guaranteed, but if he plays, he's 5-0 against the Rams all time.
That's impressive. That's impressive. But I got the Rams in that one. I know the Rams, they want to keep their seed in there right where they are and be 13-4 heading into the playoffs. I think it's going to be tough, especially if Jimmy G's out. You got a rookie quarterback going against those DBs and that D-line. And Matty Staff, he hasn't been playing his best ball, so I think
turning it over too much, Matty.
Yeah, way too many turnovers. So I know he's going to be eager to stop that and prove that he can, take care of the football going into the playoffs.
And a lot of people in black and gold are taking note of Matt Stafford turning the ball over because if the Saints do win and the Rams win, the Saints will head out to L.A. to take on those Rams and Matt Stafford, who is turning it over a little too much, getting back to those Lions days. In the last game in Tier 1, the Chargers are at the Raiders. This will be your Sunday night game. The Chargers are in with a win or a tie. The Raiders need to win and have the Colts and Steelers lose. So they'll know where they stand when they kick it off. Obviously, if the Colts and or Steelers win, the Raiders don't have anything to play for, but the Chargers still need to do work.
Yeah, the Chargers need to do work, and I don't know, man. Herbert's been a little shaky, some balling out games, some games like, what are we doing? Yeah. But I got the Chargers here because I think some of those other teams are going to win, and the Raiders are going to be like, man, like we really got to get up for this game. No chance of going to the playoffs. So, yeah, I think a little emotions will be involved in that one heavily, and I don't think Herbert should have a better game than he's been playing a little up and down, but I think he pulls it back together again.
Well, not all the 30 for 30s are happy stories. Some of them are not, and so this could be a 30 for 30 on this season for the Raiders. I mean, you talk about the moving to Vegas and the COVID stuff, and then all the Gruden things that happened after a couple of big wins, and then obviously with help me out with the receiver,
Ruggs.
with Henry Ruggs getting in that accident, and then they kind of found themselves and won some games. It's just been a fascinating season for all the wrong reasons, mostly in Vegas. But they've got one chance, but they'll know where they stand. You just would not imagine that the Colts were going to lose.
Man, that's my lock of the week.
It certainly could happen with the Jags. I'm just not going to go ahead and project that. So if I gave you the remote, we got one game to watch over the weekend in the NFL. What would your pick be?
I am probably watching. I'm gonna watch a little Baltimore Steelers. I think I'll watch that one.
That'd be good. I mean, what's your thought on these records and doing it in an extra game? You got to put an asterisk on that. I mean, it should be for the foreseeable future. That's how football is going to be played.
Yeah, I think you got to do asterisk, and I think you got to kind of do eras like they do in the NBA. You know, the post-merger era, then they got Super Bowl era. I think you got to definitely add the 17-game regular season era, because it's, some of these records you do in 16 games, it's a lot more impressive when you got a whole another 60 minutes to do it again. So yeah, I think you definitely got to put asterisk next to it.
I mean, Babe Ruth set his 60 home run record with a shorter season than Maris had when he did it in 1961. So it's just kind of, as things evolve, we got to kind of adapt with our record book, and that's what it's going to be. But that's every NFL game except one. Of course, the Saints and Falcons being the one we did not touch on. Luke Johnson's going to join us at 1 o'clock to go over all things New Orleans Saints. They're going to chat with Sean Payton at 1:30. So this will be right before he talks to Sean Payton. I'll ask, what are we going to learn from Sean P today, and who's available and who's not? Obviously, there were some interesting things about practice yesterday. Ramczyk was out there. We'll ask how likely it is that they could get some offensive line help back. Luke will certainly know. Thanks to Mike Wilson from the Knoxville News Sentinel for jumping aboard. We talked a lot about LSU and Tennessee in the first hour. Going to do a little bit more basketball in the second hour, but certainly going to chat about the Saints and the Falcons. The Hoodats look to make an improbable run for the playoff based on what they've dealt with over the last 4 months. So we'll take a time out at the top of the hour, come back with a lot more. It's Hunt and Hill.
You know Miller Lite only has one more calorie, right?
Good choice.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
One 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. 1, 2, 3. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Working towards the end of the week. Hope it's been a good one for you. Great weekend on tap, loaded with sports. LSU and Tennessee on the hardwood of the PMAC at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Saints and Dirty Birds Sunday from the ATL. Luke Johnson covers those Saints. He will be there. He joins us now. Luke, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. All right. Before we get into Saints-Falcons, let's talk about what we saw on the practice field yesterday. I'm told Ryan Ramczyk was out there and Marcus Davenport was not. Any update you have on those two guys?
Well, it's looking like Ryan Ramczyk is actually trending towards playing. It's 2 straight days. He was a limited participant in practice, which was a big deal for him. He's just been out, basically. So I'm feeling pretty good about him. Davenport, man, it's just like, yeah, this is like a new thing for him. And it seems like he's on the injury report every week with something else. So just going to kind of have to play a little bit of the waiting game today and see what happens with that.
Does he ever talk about this? The fact that it's just so frequent, and I mean that's the question. Does he ever talk about it?
He's talked about his injury history in the past and how frustrating it's been for him. But it's he's not really a guy who opens up a lot, and he kind of has an interesting way of speaking about things. So I wouldn't really say it's been something where we've gotten a lot of clarity on it. But it is a frustration for him. I mean, it's been a frustration for the coaching staff too, because when he's on the field, like he's showing all these signs of just being a great player, but he's had a really hard time staying on the field, and I think that's just been frustrating for everybody involved.
What do you think the feelings is from the Falcons side heading in this? Normally it's a deep rivalry, but at this point in the season, Falcons out of playoff contention. Do you think they show up and really play with everything this week?
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if they didn't, man. Anytime, look, these two teams really don't like each other. I think there's not a ton of that in the NFL, but I really do feel like every division has kind of one of these games, and this one is one of those games. So for me, I'd be really surprised if the Falcons had a chance to completely eliminate the Saints from the playoff picture and didn't just relish that opportunity. I expect them to come out and play really hard on Sunday.
What went wrong for the Saints in round one of this series down in the Dome?
Well, I think the Falcons had a really good plan. It was a really good debut for Arthur Smith as a coach in this rivalry. Matt Ryan, they really had a hard time getting any pressure on him. He was getting rid of the ball very quickly. They gave him some stuff where he could kind of take advantage of his mobility, which is something you don't really see a lot with Matt Ryan. But he threw for 343 against the Saints. Cordero Patterson had a huge game. This guy, I still don't really know how to say his name. I think it's Alameda Zaccheaus. Somebody who I'd never heard of had 2 touchdown catches in that game. Kyle Pitts had a couple of big catches. He just had a really smart game plan. They didn't try to, run into the Great Wall of China with the Saints run defense, and they just attacked him through the air. And I think the Saints are going to have to be a little bit smarter about how they handle that this time around.
I do work every Saturday with Brandon Taylor, who during his time at LSU played on elite defenses with offenses that really struggled for a majority of the time. Do you sense, and he's open about talking about how frustrating that could be for their defense continuing to get off the field and getting no help. Do you sense any of that from the Saints defense, or is it a deal where they kind of take it as a challenge where we know we got to hold you to 13? Here we go.
I think at times earlier this year it was kind of a frustration for those guys. This is a really tight-knit locker room, I think. They have a really strong culture, and, I think we've seen that this year, just considering everything they've had to deal with. Here they are in Week 18 with a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think you have that with the stuff they've dealt with this year without this just very strong locker room. But I do think that there was, especially during that 5-game losing streak when it seemed like nothing could go right, and the defense had a couple poor games. I think a lot of it was just that they were on the field all the time. I think there was some frustration there, but I think they're in a good spot right now. The defense has been playing very well lately, and I think they just know what they have to do. This is how they have to play to win the game, and I think they're in a good spot.
What do you think the Saints are doing at quarterback? Is it confirmed that Taysom Hill is going to be back in the lineup?
They don't announce who their guy is going to be, but I think there's a 99.9999% chance it's going to be Taysom Hill. He's been navigating these injuries that he's been dealing with, and he's going to continue to deal with for as long as they play this year. He's still dealing with the foot. He's still dealing with the finger. He's still going to have to wear the splint on his finger. But he's their guy, and I think they're going to ride him as long as this thing goes. And he's not been perfect, and I think there's some things where I don't think you can just blame it on the finger or his foot. But he's definitely given him a better chance to win in these last couple of weeks than they had with Trevor Siemian and and certainly Ian Book. So I think he's just as long as they play, he's going to be their guy.
Obviously, this final chapter has not been written, and we don't know what the end of the Saints season is going to look like. But if we can just look back for a second before we look forward, it's been a remarkable what they've dealt with and the position that they put themselves in entering the last weekend. When you kind of look back at everything that's gone on on this beat and with this team over the last 4 months, what impression has it left you with?
I think it's just that thing I was talking about. It's like they've had to deal with it's been really hard to even keep track of all the stuff that's gone wrong for them this year. They've started an NFL record number of players, 57. It's hit basically every single level of their offense. They've played games without Alvin Kamara. They've played the entire season without Michael Thomas. They've started 4 quarterbacks. They started, I think, 11 offensive linemen, something like 9 receivers. It's crazy. And then you look back at them spending the first month of this season in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They had a game where they were without, I think, 8 assistant coaches. They had a game where they were without Sean Payton. They had a game where they were without 20 players because of COVID. I mean, you name it, everything has gone wrong for this team right now. And I just think it really says something about what they've built here, where this is their first season without Drew Brees. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong in that season, and they're still here in Week 18 with a chance to clinch a playoff berth. I mean, it's a really, really remarkable season, even though it's been kind of boring from a football perspective this year. The fact that they are here is, I mean, it's a great story. And I think a lot of people in the NFL should be rooting for them to continue this on, because I really do think that if they get into the playoffs, they have a chance to upset some people just because of the way they play. So, yeah, it's been an interesting season to cover, man. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this. But I'm looking forward to maybe having to keep going for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I've sat in front of this microphone every week for the last 6 or 7 and said, this is over. This team's not any good. They can't score. It's not going to work out. And I keep sitting down, and they keep staying alive, and they've stayed alive this long. I don't think it's sustainable, but they're basically proving me wrong because they continue to put themselves in position at least to move forward. I was really interested in Deontay Harris's press conference yesterday and kind of the stories he told. Can you kind of expound on some of that?
Yeah, he grew up in the Baltimore area, and his father-in-law is basically somebody who he views as his father, right? I think probably the last 17 years of his life, I think that's the number. He's been the guy in his family. So while he was suspended, he went back home and surprised his father-in-law and changed his last name to Hardy. And yesterday was the first time we've had a chance to talk to him since that happened. And he explained why he wanted to do it. He explained that his father, who I believe works in law enforcement, is kind of like a tough guy. He doesn't really emote a lot, so he tries to look for opportunities to make him cry. I think he actually did it that time. That's why I think if you guys follow us on social or whatever, you'll see a lot of people referring to Deontay Hardy. He told us yesterday that's what he wants to be referred to as. He's not going to be able to change his name on the roster or on the back of his jersey until next year because of just some NFL rule about changing your name. But that's what he's going to be moving forward. It's a pretty cool story.
What would a win this weekend mean for the Saints organization? I know you said earlier they expect to go deep in the playoffs. Do you think that's a realistic expectation?
I don't know how deep they could go. It's going to be a really tough climb from the number 7 seed, which is their only opportunity, right? They can't go any higher than that in the playoff seeding. So they'd have to beat Los Angeles, and if they do that, they're guaranteed a trip to Green Bay. Those are 2 tough teams. You'd be asking a lot for them to make a run to like the NFC Championship game. But I think a win would guarantee them a winning season, which I think in itself is a huge accomplishment considering all the challenges and obstacles they've had this year. And if they get some help and get into the playoffs, anything can happen there, especially if you got a good defense. I mean, that travels. And we've seen this defense make plays that it keeps them in games, wins games for them. So, if they win and if they get in, they have a chance to make something really special happen. And even if they don't, even if they win and they don't get in the playoffs, or even if they win and they lose their first playoff game, I think this season has to be looked at as a success. And you're going to get some of these guys back next year, and you have a chance to tweak your roster a little bit with the salary cap going up. And I think they'll be relevant here for the next couple of years. They got a really good foundation in place.
I just got this in my head. The Saints are going to win this game. They're going to go out to LA. They're going to win. They're going to go up to Lambeau, and then we're going to get you reenacting the Hellman photo with your LSU beanie on for a generational play that lives on forever. That's what I'm now rooting for in my NFL season. Can you get some pointers for Hellman how to make that happen?
Yeah, I am absolutely going to do that because I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that he's there for the Des Cotta play, like in the background, immortalized in an LSU beating. That's just fantastic stuff. I need that content for my own life.
Well, Luke, safe travels over to Atlanta. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Luke Johnson from the Advocate covers the Saints. That's what we're talking about. Is David Hellman worked with us at the Reveille. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago when they played the Cowboys for the Des caught the ball play up at Lambeau. Hellman is in the background, standing there. He's freezing, and he's got his LSU beanie on. And every picture you see of this Des caught it picture when it comes up on Twitter or whatever, the video that pops up every year in the playoffs, there's Hellman in the background with this dumb beanie on, looking like a man who is from New Orleans, who is in Green Bay in January and miserable. Now Luke is from Wisconsin, so he'll handle it a lot better. But that was some beautiful things. So that's our hope for the rest of the NFL season. Saints and Falcons, 3:25 on Sunday. Still 45 minutes to go here on our Working Friday. Come back with us. It's Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
About savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time.
Cobb, college basketball reporter for CBS Sports. Plus, we preview the weekend's action, including Saints Falcons and LSU basketball versus Tennessee. Early line, 2 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Cousin Trey's moving on, Jeremy.
Oh, man.
Devastating news. Cousin Trey Palmer headed to Nebraska with Mickey Joseph to finish his career as a Cornhusker.
Enjoy the cold,
Finally
brother.
had a Palmer. Now it's gone. Don't care about Nebraska. It's freezing up there.
That's a tough scene, man. Look, I hope someone can get him the ball, because it go to a bad program and bad weather to a team that gets their butts kicked all the time. That's a tough scene, Cousin Trey. But hey, gotta do what you gotta do, baby.
Scored a touchdown against A&M there. Got that dub. We like that. That's the lasting memory of Cousin Trey. And some other housekeeping notes here. Bumper Poole, all-conference linebacker, is coming back to Arkansas. They've had a lot of defections, especially out of the secondary, into the transfer portal. They're going to lose a ton of guys who were super seniors on that team. It's going to be a total overhaul of that roster up in Fayetteville, but Bumper Poole will come back in the middle of that defense for Arkansas, so good news for them. Bummer news for us, because I hope Arkansas loses all the time. Let's go back to Saints and Falcons. We talked to Luke about it just then, but a little bit of a deeper dive into that game. Of course, in round one, Falcons got out to a huge lead, 24-3 in that game, and the Saints had a furious rally, scored 22 points in the fourth quarter and cut it to 2, but weren't able to cash in the 2-point conversion to tie the game, and they ended up losing. As Luke mentioned, it was a good plan from Atlanta. There are only 2 teams in football worse at running the ball than the Falcons. They're awful on the ground, and the Saints, of course, are an elite run defense. Well, the Falcons didn't even try to run the ball in the dome. They ran it for 1.4 yards per carry. They had 34 yards rushing in that game. But Matt Ryan threw for 333 and 2 scores. The Saints did not pick him off, and he had a great day. And the Falcons were able to put the clamps on a Trevor Siemian-led Saints offense. Kamara, was largely ineffective for most of the game, and the Falcons win it. I think this is a little bit of a different Saints team now. Certainly the pass rush is better than it was then. Cam Jordan has been lights out for a month now, and I expect more of that. He sacked Matt Ryan quite a few times in his day. I think that'll continue on Sunday. And it's a different offense. Trevor Siemian then, Taysom Hill now. I still don't think it's great, but the Falcons aren't exactly the 85 Bears, so hopefully you can get some things going. But it starts with the Saints have got to defend a little bit better, especially against the pass against Matt Ryan, and they did back in that opener.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a worse start than what the Saints had in that game, going down by that big, and then getting back into the game. And Matt Ryan made a huge drive in that 4-minute drive, 4-minute drill drive to throw down to Cordell Patterson down the sideline. That was a big throw to seal that game. But I think for the Saints, you gotta stop the bleeding early on. If you can get to a fast start, force this Falcons team, who doesn't really have anything to play for at this point, and those doubts start to seep in, those vacation plans start to creep in your head, and you can kind of try to put that game away early. The last thing you want to do is go into Atlanta and let that play start rocking and let them start feeling good about themselves. And then now your playoff hopes are on the line. So I think for the Saints, starting out hot and trying to get a lead early on and letting that defense, let that D-line get after Matt Ryan, let those DBs play that press man coverage that you do so well. And it's looking like Kyle Pitts may be playing, so you may want to have a plan for him too.
I would imagine that'd be a pretty important deal. You were talking about guys having their holiday plans picked out and trying to get out of town, vacations. I mean, is that speaking from experience? You've seen guys that were ready to roll?
Oh, yeah. So my first 2 years, we were playoff bound. We knew we were going to the playoffs. And then my third year there, things start taking a turn for the worse, and you see yourself out of contention, and that's when you hear the buzzing like, hey, man, where are you going after the season? Hey, what are you doing? And then those things starts getting going. Guys who aren't living there in the off season, they got to pack up and get the moving companies into town, and normally those things are getting rolling pretty quick there. So I know that's something that's definitely going on, especially when the playoffs are out the picture.
It's interesting because you got a lot of guys, and some are trying to put tape together for a future job interview. They want a contract extension, or they want to get a contract, or you got to put stuff on tape. Some guys are established and maybe veterans, and might be time to think about a little something else. There's legendary stories, or I don't know if legendary is the right word, but just very prevalent stories in Major League Baseball. You play 162 games. That clubhouse before the first pitch on the last Sunday is all packed up, and it's like, all right, get a shower and out the door. We're going to Cabo. Like that's the way it generally goes there. I'd imagine kind of the same type deal for football.
Oh yeah, 100%, same type deal going on. You're playing a physical, violent sport, and then for a lot of guys, especially the rookies, I think they hit it on the worst because they hit that rookie wall normally. Week 9, week 10. I hit it probably like week 15. I'm like, whoa, like you go from college bowl game, draft prep. Combine, pro day, then you're jumping right into NFL camp, then you play a long preseason, then you go through that whole long regular season. So you're like, dude, like my body needs a break. So guys are really getting those plans together. They're getting those things running, they're getting those things rumbling, getting those flights booked, and guys are getting out of town. And you find yourself in a football game when there's really not much on the line. Guys are trying to stay healthy. The last thing you want to do is be in that training room for the next 3 months after you play the whole season.
I've been thinking about this game all week, and I'm being honest. Like first of all, I realize I'm wrong on the Saints like every week, like always wrong. So there's no reason to look at this and be like, oh, you're an idiot. Like I get it. I suck at predicting the Saints team. I mean, how can anyone predict what this Saints team is going to do? Sweep the Bucs, blow out the Packers, lose to the Giants. Like how would anyone sit here and confidently project what the Saints are going to do week in and week out? But I have been consistent in my feeling that this offense bites. I hate watching it. I think it's terrible. But they're doing enough to win because the defense is so good. When I look at this game, I see Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts in an offense that has a quarterback who knows what he's doing. I think they're going to score more points than the Saints on Sunday. Now, the Saints defense is way better than the Falcons, and I understand the other argument. And if I'm wrong, I won't be surprised at all. But I have a microphone. I'm here to tell you what I think. I think the Falcons are going to win on Sunday, but I'm wrong every week, so that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I've had those same things with this Saints team. Talk about a team hard to predict. You have some heroic efforts against some really great playoff teams, and then you go out there and you lose to the Giants, and you lose to a bad Falcons team, and you lose to
Panthers.
Oh my goodness, yes, you lose to the Panthers. It's like, man, what team is actually going to show up? You listed all the things going wrong with this Saints team. Guys in and out of the lineup, coaches in and out of the lineups, 4 different quarterbacks. It's just so hard to predict, but I think for the Saints, they see a great opportunity in front of them, especially if the Niners don't handle business. They can get into the playoffs, and that's why you play football. You sign up. Every guy that signs up and plays in this league, I know getting money is important to some, but you want to go win that Super Bowl. You want to be playing in the playoffs and making your mark there. So I know for the Saints, that's going to be very high on their priority list to try to win this game and get into the playoffs.
I think a key for me in this game for the Saints, and this is usually a pretty lazy take, but in this instance, I feel like it's even more important. Get 2 turnovers. Get back there and hit Ryan and knock it free. Make a play on the ball in the secondary. Get 2 turnovers to help your offense. Set up a short field here or there, or thwart a scoring opportunity there for the Falcons. And I'll feel better about it, obviously. Now, that's the easiest way to get to a win is turnovers. I'm obviously well aware of that too. But I'm scarred by watching this Taysom Hill offense. I'll just be quite honest. Like to go a month without scoring a touchdown is laughable. And they put themselves in a playoff spot because they've committed to running it. They've committed to get it to Kamara, and their defense has just been incredible. And if they play the same type of defense that held the Packers to 3 and the Bucs to 0, they'll win. They'll win if they give up 3 or 0. But I worry if the Falcons hit a big play or mount a couple drives, and all of a sudden you look up and the Falcons have 21. Can the Saints get to 21? I don't feel comfortable that they can.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this Taysom Hill-led offense, and we saw them, beat the Bucs. That offense did not look very good. He found a way to win that game from their defense, and so I think it's got to be something very similar. Having a half here because just watching him, he just doesn't look like a natural passer of the football. Just sometimes he's shot putting the ball, which does not look very good on the television copy, and the accuracy just isn't always there. So if you can find a way, I know Ramchick should be playing in this game. If you can find a way to get Alvin Kamara going again and really, keep the ball out of harm's way for Taysom. Don't turn it over. Allow your defense to win this game, and that's going to be your best recipe for success and winning.
Luke mentioned it in the previous segment, and Cortland Jacob is saying it there. Saints have set a record for number of players to start this year, and Michael Thomas is not one of them. So that tells you, that's one of the highest, if not the highest paid player on your team, and he hasn't played once. And you've set the record for most starts. It's been a remarkable 4 months in Saints world, and we'll see if they can get it done on Sunday. I do think that the Rams are going to beat the Niners. So I think the Saints are playing for a playoff bid, and we shall see how things go on Sunday. We'll certainly be reacting to it on Monday. We got half an hour left with you here in the work week. You can make it to 5 o'clock. I know you can. Stay with us for 30 more minutes. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Louisiana rides on...
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
6G. Network.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
You guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, We are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Today's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The band's back together. The Right Radio Hours return. We'll preview Saints Falcons. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Talked a lot about LSU and Tennessee, that game on Saturday in the PMAC, and that is the best SEC basketball game of the weekend. But I wanted to get into the rest of the schedule, and we'll start doing this a little bit more now that we're into conference play, and certainly the results in the conference have a huge impact on what LSU looks like. We expect this LSU team to contend for the SEC. I don't know that I expect them to win it. I think Auburn has the best team in the league, but LSU's win over Kentucky was a big step in the right direction. If you can win this game against Tennessee, you kind of shown you can match up with the best that the league has to offer. And so that's what LSU is looking at on Saturday. But as we look around at the rest of the league action, there's some snoozers, and it starts with the 11 o'clock game, South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Jerry Stackhouse has had a better year two than he did have in the start of his time in Nashville. They've had a talent deficiency there for a few years. Certainly a lot of that was due to injury, as they've had their best player go out with a torn ACL 2 years in a row. But Scottie Pippen Jr. has stepped forward. He was the preseason player of the year in the conference and is clearly their best option. South Carolina is always going to be well coached over there with Frank Martin, and that'll be your early game in Nashville, but not a pair of great teams over there, Vanderbilt and South Carolina.
Yeah, a 9-4 Vanderbilt team who hasn't, lost to the most powerful teams we've seen in the country in South Carolina, and they have some talent on their roster, but I think they're in that same boat as well. So I don't know if I'll be waking up that early to be tuning into that one.
Now, Arkansas is interesting. They will go to College Station to play Texas A&M. They have lost 4 of 5 after an undefeated start where they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They were 9-0. Oklahoma absolutely waylaid them around Christmas time. Then they lost to Hofstra, which was shocking. They gave 89 points to Hofstra. They came back and beat Elon. Then they go to Starkville and lose at the Hump by 13. And then they played Vanderbilt in Fayetteville and lost. That is unheard of for Arkansas to not be able to defend their home court against a lesser team in the league, really closer to the bottom of the league in Vanderbilt. Eric Musselman's a good coach. They've got some good players, but they got to get it in gear. And they got to play Buzz Williams' team down there in College Station. That's one they need to win. You can't afford to slip to 0-3 in the league.
Yeah, that's a terrible start. You can ask for a worse start in the league, and I'm liking Texas A&M in that game. I know they haven't beat any world beater this year, but you have a win over Notre Dame, a win over Butler. Those are good teams to beat and have on your resume. So I think Texas A&M handled business at home.
Arkansas, they don't have a stud. They have a lot of nice pieces, but they don't have the guy, and I think that's holding them back a little bit. Buzz in College Station, they want to play a physical brand of defense. They want to switch it up, and they've scored a little bit better this year. That hasn't gone as well as a lot of people would have thought when they hired him. It was obviously Scott Woodward that made that hire. But as we go through, you're looking at these teams going, some of these teams aren't so good. It's just take LSU a month and a half to play them. We're playing all the top parts of the league right now. Alabama is headed to Columbia, Missouri. Conzo Martin may be in a little trouble up there, in my opinion. I haven't heard that or seen anybody tweet that or hint at that, and I actually follow some people who on Twitter that follow Missouri pretty closely. But they are 6-7 on the season, 0-1 in league play, and Alabama's coming up there. Alabama is really difficult to deal with. They've got maybe the best backcourt in the country and in the conference, in Jaden Shackelford and Javon Quinterly, and Missouri is not very good. Alabama can have nights where they don't shoot it as well, and that's when they get in trouble. And that's why they lose to teams like Iona and have those setbacks that they had early. But they are 2-0 in league play, looking to make it 3 in Columbia.
Yeah, this is probably definitely going to be 3. Missouri team that just got blown out the floor by Kansas, blown off the floor by Illinois, and Kentucky just totally had their way with them. I don't see Missouri having much of a pulse, especially with Alabama getting into the heart of this SEC schedule. I think they're going to get Alabama's full attention. I know it's a road game for them, but I think the Tide, they roll Missouri.
Tough scene for Tom Crean. I've mentioned this a couple times on this show, but it was during football season. You may not notice if you're trying to ease into basketball now. There's a reason why Tom Crean's Georgia team is 5-9 on the season. It does not help matters at all when this season your starting point guard is now the starting point guard at Kentucky in Xavier Wheeler, and then KD Johnson, who is your starting 2 guard, is leading Auburn in scoring. So you got your point guard is running the show at Kentucky. Your 2 guard is leading Auburn in scoring. That makes it difficult for your team to be very good, and Georgia is not good. They go to Rupp Arena. Hopefully, Xavier Wheeler can play. We saw him, of course, walk very gingerly off the floor on Tuesday. We'll see if he can play his old team, but Kentucky ought to bounce back in a big way on Saturday.
Yeah, I definitely see them. And this Georgia team who's lost to East Tennessee State, like Gardner Webb, like what are we doing?
I just told you, his players are playing for the other teams in the league.
Just not very good. Yeah, that's not a very good basketball team. I see that SEC record being extremely terrible once they start playing the Kentuckys and Tennessees and some of those schools that are going to be playing. It's going to get real ugly for the Bulldogs. So, yeah, I see them losing this game in bad fashion.
I realize that college basketball is a national recruiting game. It's not a local recruiting game. I mean, LSU, for example, doesn't have anybody on their team from Louisiana. But I've always wondered why Georgia has been so poor at basketball when you realize how good the Atlanta area is in producing basketball players. But when a top 5 player in the country in Jabari Smith comes out of Atlanta and goes to play for Auburn, that's an indication of where you are. They got Contavious Caldwell-Pope to stay home and play with him for a year, but Georgia just can't seem to lasso those big Atlanta guys, and then they're not very talented.
Yeah, the only other guy, I think, Anthony Edwards, he was not too bad. Not a bad player. Yeah, not too bad of a player. But other than that, it's not much going on Georgia basketball. Just not many guys you can point to historically. Like, man, that guy was a dog. Like, it's not a basketball program. You know schools by what they represent, and that's definitely a football school. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
We'll go to Auburn Arena for the 7 o'clock start time in Auburn, Alabama. Mike White's Florida team will head to Auburn. You know about Auburn by now. You know that they've got Jabari Smith, who's a hell of a player. You know Walker Kessler can do. It'll be a great matchup of front court players. Walker Kessler, who was great against LSU this year, and everybody remembers Colin Castleton, who was great against LSU last year. He's 6'11". Those two guys are older players now. They are both 7 feet tall and they are really, really talented dudes. I can't wait to watch that one and see who gets the best of it on the block, but I think Auburn at home against Florida is probably your pick.
Yeah, definitely. Auburn at home. They're flying high. They're probably the best team in the SEC, and this is a Florida team that lost to a 1-7 Texas Southern basketball team.
Johnny Joe!
Yeah, not looking too hot, so I think Auburn's going to have their way, just too much talent. Got probably the number 1 overall pick on the court. Don't see it going well for the Gators in that one.
I do not either. And then the last one, 7:30 tip-off from Oxford, Mississippi, the Egg Bowl on wood. Mississippi State coming in 1-0 in SEC play. Ole Miss 0-1. Ole Miss has been dealing with some stuff. Jarkel Joyner is their best player. He has not played this week because he's got a back injury. They got COVID issues. They went up to Tennessee and fought their butts off, but they didn't have really any guys and lost that game in overtime. Now Ben Howland's team is coming in. Iverson Molinar is their star on the perimeter. He's been excellent for 2 years now in Starkville. You think Ole Miss can defend that home floor? I don't know who's going to be on the floor for them, so I can't really help you there. But that game it'll be full and it'll be passionate because of who's coming to town.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game, so you definitely know that's going to be passionate on all sides in that one. But to me, I think Mississippi State edges them out. They don't have just the best resume you've ever seen, but I like Mississippi. Too many questions with Ole Miss for me, so I think Mississippi State handles business in that one.
And look, I'm not going to dedicate an entire segment to it at this point. We may get there, but we're just not, for me right now, based on the things that I'd like to talk about here. But I do understand that there is some significant progress going on in the LSU women's basketball program. And last night was a moral victory for LSU, and that's not something that athletic programs around here thrive on. That's not where their goals are, and certainly Kim Mulkey's are not. But for them to put up the fight they did against what has now become a perennial power, I don't have any problem saying that what Dawn Staley has over there is not a flash in the pan, one really good team or one really good player. They've churned out, for better part of a decade now, really, really good teams. LSU played exceptionally hard last night and nearly won that game, and that's a good thing for LSU. I think everybody recognized how impressive the hire was, and it looks to be paying dividends probably a little earlier than we thought, especially when they lost to Florida Gulf Coast a few weeks back.
Yeah, that's early on in the season. That definitely had me moving my eyebrows a little bit, but I think that's why you do bring a Kim Mulkey to LSU program to get the results that you're getting right now, and you give her opportunity to recruit and bring her girls in year year out. You can definitely see where this basketball program is headed, and that was a great step in the right direction.
For sure. So they'll continue to work and continue to recruit and continue to overhaul that roster, but they are playing really hard. And you got to figure, based on what we've seen the last 2 weeks, they're one of the top 20 teams in the country, which is not something that we've said around here in quite some time. So that's our piece on LSU women's basketball. Hopefully they can force their way into this show over the next couple of months and make us talk about them a little bit more. Take one more time out, close out the work week here. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Had a blast over at Sync Wellness last night. Had their 2022 launch party. We were able to meet with the staff. Had a lot of people getting hydration, IVs, supplements were everywhere, and we were able to get some good FaceTime with the employees and the ownership over there. And it is such an impressive place. If you're intimidated by looking at things on the internet about what supplements or vitamins you may need, if you're intimidated by looking at a wall of drugs and trying to figure out what you need, just go over there and let them help you. And there's a lot of different programs they can put together. I know right now everyone's concerned with the immune system, and they can help you there.
Yeah, Sync has all the professional products to help you stay well and keep your immune system strong. One of their most popular items is their pharmacist-curated immune pack, conveniently packaged with vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc in doses you need to stay well. They also have their immune support IV hydration pack with vitamin C, vitamin B, and zinc as well. If you're feeling too ill to walk into their suite, they have registered nurses that will administer your IV curbside.
It's an incredible facility over there. It's just north of I-10 off of Highland and Old Perkins. Check them out over at synkwellness.com. They're a great new sponsor here of Hunt and Hill. We'll be telling you about them every single day, and can't wait to spend a little bit more time over there and going through everything they've got to offer. We will certainly be telling you about it right here on Hunt and Hill. It's Sync Wellness. It's synkwellness.com.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
T-Bob, baby.
You get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Creole and Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's go on the record, Jeremy Hill. We'll start with LSU in Tennessee. Your pick for that one.
Go Tigers, baby. Yeah, I got my Tigers in that one. A little too much for Tennessee, man. I like the defense. I like the home environment. I think the PMAC's going to be buzzing. So, yeah, I got my Tigers in that one.
I like LSU to win that game as well. I think it's played in the 60s, but I think LSU does enough to get it done. I like LSU somewhere in the neighborhood of 68, 62, something like that. I expect the line to be pretty tight on this game, and I think LSU will win it. And that'll be a huge step in the right direction for the Tigers and would be big to serve on your home court for 2 games against the top half of the league. Saints and Falcons, what you got there?
Saints Falcons, man. I guess I'm going to ride with the Who Dat Nation one more time. I did it last time against the Dolphins, and it just did not look good at all. But I know my man Taysom's back. Maybe they can, get that run game going, a little read option, and defense and turn Matty Ice over a little bit. So, yeah, I got the Saints.
I got Falcons 24-14-ish. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I'd love to talk about a playoff game next week. That would warm my heart. And the only reason that would happen is if the Saints win and the San Francisco 49ers were to fall to the Rams. Your pick on that one?
Oh, Niners Rams. I got the Rams now. I think Matty Staff, I should say, Matty Stafford. I think he gets those turnovers down, and I think they want to be going into the playoffs buzzing. So, yeah, I got the Rams in that one.
I like that as well. I like the Rams to win that game pretty convincingly, especially if Trey Lance is playing. Jimmy G Still banged up. No word on who's going to play in that one yet, but we shall see. All right, let's do some take it or leave it. Close out the week. J.J. Watt designated return from injured reserve. Had a serious shoulder injury in late October. Taking or leaving J.J. Watt will get multiple playoff sacks.
I'll leave it. I think that's Chandler Jones all day. He's their edge rusher. I think J.J. will give a little run support up the middle, but I just don't see that old J.J. coming back. A guy that had 20 sacks from the interior defensive line position, which is just unreal to think about. But I'm sorry,
it's
J.J.
TJ's time now.
TJ's time. Got to hand that crown over. Take the crown off your head. Give it to little brother, and let little brother take over the reins because he's definitely the man now. For sure. All right, my boy Julius Randle. He was seen telling Knicks fans to shut the bleep up after giving them a thumbs down gesture as the hometown fans booed him. Are you taking or leaving NBA players yelling expletives at their own fans?
I've personally, I'm going to leave it. I've personally never quite understood home fans mercilessly booing their own team. I guess I understand it in a couple of instances. Maybe if a coach does something continuously that doesn't work. But, I think, especially in college, I never endorse it. But I feel like the people are trying. Sometimes they're just not good enough, but they're trying. And booing them certainly not going to help anything. It's just going to make them feel – it's like these NFL, these pro sports fans are like, we pay good money for this tickets. You guys suck. We're booing you. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I can do whatever I want. You come in here and you stink. And it's like, that's not going to help. Support the team. Cheer for them when they do something good. Urge them on. Help them out. Not just boo from the rooftops, but if you're in New York or Philly or one of those places, you're going to get an earful. That's just the way it's going to go. I just never quite get it. Byron Leftwich is going to interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars after they fired Urban Meyer. Byron Leftwich, best guy for the Jags job. Take it or leave it.
I guess I'll take it. I guess. That's a bad scene, man. You see why some of these other coaches, my boy Taylor Sharp's defensive coordinator, he said, no way, Jose. I want no parts of interviewing for that job. Y'all can have it. That's a dumpster fire that you guys are trying to run over there, and I want no parts of it. If that's me and that's my first head coaching job, I'm staying far away from it. I'll wait it out a little bit, maybe check the scenery out, but someone has to be the head coach, so maybe Byron can do the job, but that's just not a good scene for me. All right, college football playoff. They're considering Las Vegas as a destination for a national championship game for college football. You taking or leaving Vegas as a great spot to host a national championship?
Take it all day. Oh, my God, yes. LSU will be there in a couple of years to play USC. Take Vegas as anything. I'm a big Vegas proponent. Now, it's pricey. You got to turn off the old money sensor when you show up there and just experience it. But I am in for anything and everything Vegas. I think it's awesome, and I am all in for that. Look, I think the New Orleans should get a look for a lot of things a lot of times, but if you're going to go other places, Vegas will work just fine. I think that'll be good, so I will take that in spades.
All right, last one here. My boy A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, best third baseman in Yankee history. He's set to have a assignment class like the Mannings for Sunday Night Baseball. You taking A-Rod on assignment class?
It's a real shot at Scott Brocious there. I'm going to leave that. I think A-Rod is a C+ on air. I think he's okay. I don't think he's great. And if you're going to do a Manning casting, I need somebody that's funny, that's engaging. Because Peyton's really good at that. And Eli kind of knows his role and throws his dry comments in there. And that works. A-Rod forces it a little bit. He's just not great on air. He's a hell of a player. And I think he knows the game. I do think he does a pretty good job at times of breaking down some things. But if you're going to have him sit there and kind of ad-lib and go for 3 hours, that's not going to work. I need somebody that's just legitimately funny to make that happen. And I don't think A-Rod's your guy. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I know, guy. What about Big Papi? I think Big Papi could do a job on that.
He is pretty funny. And look, I think some people think I'm being insensitive when I say things like this. I'm being the exact opposite. I'm being so impressed that someone could speak 2 languages. I can't even understand another language, much less speak it. But that's a lot for 4 hours for a second language. It's just a lot. And it's, I don't mean, again, I'm amazed that people can learn a second language. I'm so far from knowing a second language. But 4 hours of a second language is tough. So he's funny. And for an interview, he's great. But guy like Dallas Braden is just an absolute character. And he works for Barstool, so he wouldn't really do it. But he's hilarious. And he would be really good at doing something like that. I'm trying to think of other guys. I mean, Pat McAfee, who also went to Barstool, and now he's hilarious and he's funny, and that's what you need. You don't need a guy who can X and O everything up, even though Peyton and Eli can do that. You just need a personality and a character. A-Rod just doesn't quite give you that. I mean, where are you on that?
Yeah, I would say, I'm trying to think baseball personalities. Man, see, my guys, they don't speak English. I was going to say my boy Manny being Manny, but
he's a crazy person.
Yeah, so see, I'm going too wild there. Yeah. So no, I'd have to think about, do a little deep digging on that one.
I would have to think. I mean, Ryan Dempster's pretty funny for the Cubs, but he forces it a little bit too.
Trying to think, maybe. What about?
You know who's pretty funny is Dan Plesac on MLB Network. But it's whatever. We'll workshop that and come back.
We'll come back with that
on Friday. Great show today. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us in the Bayou Ford chat. If you missed it, we started things talking about LSU potential departures and guys who may come back as well. Previewed LSU and Tennessee with Mike Wilson of the Knoxville News Sentinel and went through the entire NFL slate at the end of hour number 1. Luke Johnson jumped aboard to talk Saints and Falcons to start hour number 2. What's going on with Ryan Ramczyk, what's going on with Marcus Davenport, all that we covered at the beginning of hour number 1. And you'll obviously learn a little bit more of that about that as Sean Payton meets with the media right now. Talked about the SEC basketball schedule as well, and as always, we finish things with Take It or Leave It. Saints and Falcons at 3:25 on Sunday, LSU and Tennessee at 5 o'clock from the PMAC on Saturday. Matt's going to drive you home today, 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Coming up next, it is your early line with Mario and Moose. So that's Jeremy, that's Casey and Taylor. I am Hunt. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. We are back in action on Monday, reacting to every